It's that wonderful time of year again where we head into the divisional series and we get to make predictions. Only this time not screencastifying it. I'll screencastify something later, maybe after game 1. Maybe I'll just do something with the NFL Week 5 and put it on Screencastify. Speaking of Week 5, the Chicago Bears got their first win since Week 7 of 2022's NFL season, ending a historic 14-game losing streak. They saw them lose their final 10 games of last season, and their first 4 this season. They beat the Commanders by a score of 40-20. Personally, I'm not that happy about it because as much as it's embarrassing for the Commanders to be the first team that the Bears lost to in nearly a year, it's also embarrassing for the Eagles because, as we know, the Commanders took the Eagles into overtime last week and they nearly beat them. So now we almost lost to a team that got demolished by the worst team in football, or second worst team in football, or wherever you want to put it. So, football, not too encouraging. I don't think that we're really going to be able to hit, as good of a mark as we want to. I think that we're ultimately not going to be as successful of a team as I'd like it to be. We're 4-0, but we're 4-0 in ugly manner. We play the Rams. I'm very scared about taking on the Los Angeles Rams. I think that they are quite a ferocious team, and I don't know if the Eagles have the skill in them to beat them. Okay. In any case, regarding the, we now have to go into baseball. First of all, we have to analyze the wild card series, and every team swept the other. In a complete coincidence, this was on October 3rd and 4th, 2 days that soared into the 80s here in New York. So, I never thought I had to say this, but for the entire wild card round of the baseball playoffs, I was in shorts. Did not think that was going to happen. But the wild card being in summer like weather in New York, and by the way, no New York teams made the playoffs, all that was just a fluke. We are definitely in October baseball. We are definitely in baseball playoff season. We most definitely are in that time of year again about the baseball playoffs. Speaking of the baseball playoffs, so Diamondbacks, a team that, really 84-78, should they made the playoffs? Probably not. They swept the Milwaukee Brewers. NL Central title winner, 92-70. The NL Central is just truly cursed. Ever since 2020, they were blessed when every single team in that division, except for the Pittsburgh Pirates, who were somehow 19-41 that year, made the playoffs in the expanded playoff version of it. And they all made the playoffs and they were all happy. Except that they were all upset because none of them played each other and everyone lost. Everyone lost. Even the division winner Chicago Cubs, in their most recent playoff appearance, lost. And the Cubs lost to the Marlins. It was very disappointing. So, heading into, this new era, Brewers win the NL Central in 2021, losing the divisional round. Cardinals win in 2022, they lose in the wild card round against the Phillies. 2023, again, Brewers are the only team to make it, and they lose in the wild card round. NL Central is just a truly cursed division, and they have not won a playoff series since at least 2019. And I don't even know about 2019 if they won a playoff series in 2019. I don't know who the NL Central winner in 2019 was. I think the Brewers, and I don't know if the Brewers made the championship series or not. I know in 2018 it made the championship series, and I don't think they won it in 2019. So again, a truly cursed division that has not had any postseason success recently. And now they just lost to the Arizona Diamondbacks. But what's next for the Diamondbacks is not a lot of fun either. The Diamondbacks have to take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. They won 162, so it's going to be like the Padres last year, where the Dodgers have many wins above the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks held the lead in the division up until around halfway through the season. Then they collapsed. They were able to get their act together by stomping on the Cubs, just enough to put them into a position of being able to make the postseason, barely. But getting swept by the Astros was not fun. But ultimately, they were able to take care of business against the Brewers, despite the Brewers having 8 more wins than them. But again, going up against the Dodgers is not going to be a fun experience. And while the Padres were able to overcome this last year against the Dodgers, we can see it now that the Dodgers have probably, I think the Dodgers have learned from their mistakes. They ultimately denigrated quite a bit from their past selves in 2022, and the Diamondbacks improved. The Diamondbacks improved significantly. But ultimately, I don't see this being a positive ending for the Diamondbacks. The Dodgers swept them last year when the Diamondbacks won the regular season series 11-8. Now they lost the regular season series against the Dodgers. And it's just that the Dodgers just have more postseason experience. And honestly, the 2022 Dodgers in the divisional round last year, pretty much everything that could go wrong for the Dodgers, everything that could, go wrong for the Los Angeles Dodgers, everything that could go wrong pretty much, did go wrong for Los Angeles. And I don't see that happening again this year. Similarly, Phillies beat the Braves. Congratulations, Phillies. Last year, you beat the Braves, made it all the way to the World Series. It's so incredibly dangerous, so I'm doing it anyway. In any case, Phillies beat the Marlins, and now they face the Braves in a rematch. Phillies fans are getting quite cocky, but me personally, I would not recommend that. Because, similar to the Braves, similarly to the Dodgers and the Braves last year, pretty much everything that could go wrong for them did. Like, they just had collapse in both their offense and their defense. It was a bit of a collapse and an embarrassment for the Braves. They've learned from those past mistakes. They are a better team. They are the best team in all of baseball. And while the Phillies had won 6 more games than the Marlins won 84-78 after their game against the Mets was deemed a loss. Phillies were able to go 90-72. And Phillies went 90-72, but the Braves, they went 104-58. They have 14 games over Philadelphia. And again, Braves lost the championship series in 2020. They won it in 2021. They have an improved roster, an improved team, and the Phillies were lucky to beat them in 2022. So, unfortunately, I do see a Dodgers-Braves championship series again. I know it's getting annoying because we saw it in 2020, we saw it in 2021. We got lucky to see some fresh teams, the Padres and Phillies, make it in 2022 because we haven't seen them in a championship series for a while. But I think that we're going to revert back to our standard old and boring Dodgers-Braves in the postseason 2023. Heading on into the American League, for the second year in a row, the 4 seed gets absolutely embarrassed by the 5 seed. And for the second year in a row, actually funnily enough, both the Rays and the Blue Jays lose, just that they've kind of swapped roles. Texas Rangers, incredible heartbreak. I mean, they just collapsed against the Seattle Mariners, who they kicked out of the playoffs the previous day. And the Mariners, while they must have been happy to have ended in a shutout win, were probably upset that they ultimately allowed the Astros, who stormed over the Diamondbacks, to clinch the division. And that loss is also what put the Diamondbacks at the 6th seed and not the 5 seed. So, Diamondbacks' choice in the fight for, though, ultimately, Brewers were probably easier to beat than the Phillies. You know, it must have been a painful season for the Rangers, is what I'm saying. They did make the first playoffs in 7 years, so they don't have too much to be upset about. But the Astros are yet again winning the AL West title and probably making it back to the championship series, though that we will dissect in a little bit. However, the Rangers completely made up for all of that by embarrassing the Tampa Bay Rays. As what someone on Twitter once said, a team that looked like a team that won 99 games, they looked like they lost 99. The Rays, who won 99 games and failed to make it out of the wild card round, the second most amount of wins to fail to make it past the wild card to make it past the wild card round, only behind the New York Mets of last year, who went 101 and 61 and failed to make that mark. Tampa was the widely viewed favorite to beat the Rangers because the Rangers were 90 and 72. The Rangers' record was ultimately not that great, and the Rays, just kind of seemed like their own destiny. They started off 13 and 0 and were widely viewed as World Series favorites. I viewed them as a World Series favorite, even as recently as late June. I still saw them to be the World Series favorite, even though the Braves are better than them. I still thought that ultimately Rays would come out and dominate in the World Series to get their first title. And now they are eliminated from the playoffs. It must hurt Tampa. It truly must hurt that it came down to this, and I'm sure Texas Rangers fans are happy. Nonetheless, Rangers are going up against the Orioles, another team who hasn't made the postseason in 7 years, but they've had one hell of a season, going 101 and 61. Orioles have truly been just, a force to be reckoned with across the American League, stunning everyone. I mean, I personally thought when they were around like that .625 mark, that they would ultimately fade down into the 500s, make the playoffs, probably as the 4th seed, and then get swept in a wild card round by the Yankees, who failed to make it after Aaron Judge had an injury. But instead, the Orioles were able to win a critical series against the Rays, in mid-July. That actually is a big reason why they were able to get the AL East title in the first place and steal it from Tampa. I thought that Tampa was going to ultimately level out somewhere in the 600s. And while they did that, again, I really thought that the Rays would have a better season than they did. I really thought they would clinch 100 wins. And I did not see that really happening for the Orioles. I saw the Orioles having a good season, a postseason berth, but not the 1 seed. Now, again, Rangers did dominate the hell out of Tampa, so you cannot discredit that. But with the Orioles also having a chance to rest up all their good players, this is just a new team. This could be a new dynasty of the Baltimore Orioles having amazing postseason success. And while we could see, again, the failure of the 1 seed, not making it through, I just feel like that's not going to happen. I just, think that we're going to see Baltimore make it on. I'm drawing a lot of parallels between this year and last year. And really just swap the Yankees and the Orioles and then swap them with the Astros. You've pretty much got the same picture. I think the Orioles will be moving on to the championship series, and they haven't been this far in the postseason in a while. There's been a lot of playoff futility, so a lot of Orioles fans, a lot of the Orioles rivals are still happy for the Orioles because they truly deserve it. Minnesota Twins, another team that's been having a lot of postseason embarrassment, but they won their first playoff series since 2002. I must have celebrated a little bit too much about it. The Twins were able to beat the Toronto Blue Jays, even though they had a higher seed, they won 2 fewer games than them. A lot of people, though, have compared the teams for how even they were and were expecting a good series out of it. But instead, the Blue Jays completely embarrassed themselves. Rays actually have the most postseason consecutive losses now. Now that the Twins snapped their streak at 7. And, Blue Jays, they're also, I think, right now at 6 consecutive postseason losses. Actually, I think they're also at 7. A lot of playoff disappointment in Toronto from that series. Not a great one, but go Minnesota. Now they face on the Astros, and while I have a little bit of optimism that they can put up a fight against them, the Astros might only have 3 more wins in them. It's 97-2 for the Astros. That's pretty bad for the 2 seed. They're going to have more home field advantage, but the Twins have momentum. Already their best postseason since 2002. Screw rounds, because there was a time where it just was a divisional round, or where if you get to a certain point, you automatically make it to the divisional round. But screw all that. Twins were able to actually get to the divisional round by having to play in the wild card round and actually win postseason games, and they did so successfully. I have tremendous optimism in this team, but the Astros are a curse, and they probably are destined to make it to the ALCS. Go Twins, but I think the Astros have this one.